Radio Leeds. You listen to Sam Nixon in for Gail Lofthouse. Now, last Sunday, my next guest finished the challenge of a lifetime. Jon Callow from Thackley paddleboarded 324.8 kilometres over 3 different canal networks. That is the equivalent of 7.5 marathons over a week. Jon was raising money for Cancer Research UK. His fiancée Anna was diagnosed with breast cancer a year ago, and Jon wanted to raise awareness and loads of money. Well, he has had a few days to recover, and he's joining me right now, along with Anna, to tell us all about it. Morning, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Yeah, I'm really, really good. Yeah.
You look good, Jon. You look like a fit man.
I wish you could tell my body that.
Well, first of all, then, congratulations. What a thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing when you actually think about it. We were saying outside earlier that it's been nearly a week, and the time has just flown by. And compared to last week, where everything seemed very regimented, very organised, I have no idea where the time's just gone. And equivalently, by this point, I'd done my 5th marathon. So,
my goodness. Well, listen, we'll get into the challenge in a second. But before we do, just tell us about how this all came about and why you wanted to take on this challenge.
Yeah. So, it was March 2023, and we were prepping for wedding sort of fairs and everything. Yeah. And then our daughter, as she does, runs around the bed, fell over, landed on Anna, and, bruised, and it was more bruised than we thought. So went to the doctors, got it checked out, and sure enough, they referred us, and in a matter of weeks, we were getting the diagnosis of, it's breast cancer. And we were there kind of going like, breast cancer, but you're only 36. Like, that can't be the case. Like, no, not at all. Like, so it completely shook our world. We then went through 6 months of treatment, of surgeries, and we were just about to start the chemotherapy, weren't you, in September? And it was roughly around that sort of time where I was just like, you know what, I need to try and do something to help raise awareness for it, try and do something to give back in a sense. And as such, the long distance paddleboard challenge was born. I was recceing a guided trip I was going to run for my business, and with my daughter in Surrey Bridge, and I just saw this canal notice board, and it showed a link up of all these canals, and I was just like, there we go, done, sorted. That's the challenge. And then SUP Against Cancer was born. And I think I think I said this to Gail before when I did the pre kind of interview, but something that kind of really stuck it to me was like, there's this statistic if it's every 1 in 2 people in your lifetime that you'll know that will have cancer. And sure enough, my nan had breast cancer when she was in her 40s and 50s. My granddad died of cancer. My great aunt died of cancer. My uncle just died in November of last year of cancer. And then obviously my fiance's got diagnosed with it. And it was just like, you realize then just how many people are affected by this disease. And I was like, we need to kind of try and find the cure for it. And one of the guys that I'm an ambassador for, which is Bluefin SUPs, they put up that they were doing fundraising for Stand Up to Cancer, and I just went, well, you know what, I'm a stand-up paddleboarder, let's choose that charity, let's give that one a go. And it's one of the fundraising arms obviously for cancer research, and advancing the surgeries, advancing treatments, and trying to find a cure for this horrible disease. So that kind of that just led one thing led to another, and then in October, 1st of October, I set myself a date, not realizing that it would be the same day as April Fool's Day at the time. This whole 6 months building up to it, and I was like, it's not an April Fool's, guys. I'm actually going to do it. I'm actually going to do it. And we got to it, and here we are. Yeah, now a week later, and the challenge is finished.
Imagine if it would have got to April the 1st, you've gone, only kidding.
It's like, thanks for the money. See you later. I'm very, very pleased that I actually did do it, but I think I said this to Nikki when I got back on the Sunday. There was no point during the challenge where I wanted to turn around or enough was enough. I found it a very serene experience in a sense. Like most people, I think, say this about marathons. They say you get to a certain point within the actual running where the pain disappears and you just kind of become one with it, and you just keep going, and you can keep going and going without realizing. And I suppose that kind of, it's a great analogy or allegory or whatever the correct terminology is. But for what we've gone through for the last year, it's like it's long and it's prolonged and it keeps going and going and going, and you get good news, you get bad news, and we especially had that. We like Anna's radiotherapy finished only a couple of weeks before I actually got on the water. And originally the idea was that she'd have a month and a half of recovery before I go and leave her alone for 7 days. But it's all because we had the planning scans for the radiotherapy, and that came back and it showed some less than positive things on other parts of the body, and obviously that gave us a bit of a scare again. You've already had one scare in the year, you then go and get told it's spread and you get even worse, and thankfully, touch wood, it all has come back as being all clear, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
all good.
We're quite happy in that respect, but yeah, that was one of the things that did nearly put the challenge off almost. Was is Anna going to be in a fit state to be left alone with our 2-year-old? And thankfully she's pulled through. She's been a rock, really.
And how has it actually been for you then, whilst Jon's been doing this mammoth challenge? I mean, first of all, you must be so proud of him.
Oh, immensely proud. Honestly, you hear the plan and you see what he's going to do. That's great. Love it, love what you're doing, and then it actually happens. And I've said it so many times, I didn't realise the scale of it. I didn't realise like you tell me, oh, you're going to paddle so far. Yeah, okay, great, that's far. And then when I saw it and I was watching it, oh my goodness, it's really, really far. You're shattered, things like that. I've just been addicted to Strava. I was checking where he was every second of every day. And every time the Strava went a little bit, oh, here, left, right, like I'd message him, what are you doing?
Right.
Are you okay? And he's like, I've just got off to go to the toilet. So, okay, I just wanted to check.
Yeah, but it got really, really confused when I was in Manchester, didn't it?
Yeah, and it kept zigzagging everywhere, and I panic.
The canal through Rochdale, and for anyone who's listening who fancies ever doing a paddleboard challenge going through Manchester, don't. Just don't do it. You'll spend more time carrying your equipment than you actually spend paddling your equipment, especially as someone had vandalised the locks, so a lot of them were empty. But that was a fun 3 kilometres of dragging the board along the side.
I would imagine it was. And we should paint the picture for some people who maybe don't know what paddleboarding is, but it's one of those, like, forgive me for not having the technical terms, but it's like a thick, long surfboard, isn't it, that you stand on? And is it oars that you have to be able to paddle? So
it's you've hit the nail on the head. Effectively, it is just an elongated, larger surfboard, and we use long length paddles. So normally about 200 centimeter long paddles to transport to project. I can't even think of the word right now. But yeah,
propel.
To propel. Thank you.
Nice.
That's the word. Yes.
Thanks, Hannah.
There we go. Glad I got the teacher next to me. We use paddles to propel ourselves. We were talking about this earlier. It was born in Hawaii, funny enough, same as normal surfing, and it was a way of transporting from island to island.
Oh wow!
And it was a way of going out and getting the fishing nets and setting out your fishing nets, and it obviously has developed into its own sport.
Yeah.
And it's grown in popularity in the last 10 years. So the board I used was an inflatable SUP, SUP, stand-up paddleboard. You can buy rigid boards, and you can buy all manner of shapes and sizes. Because the popularity has grown so much, the diversity of it has increased massively as well. So you've got some that you can go down white water with now. That's become really popular lately. And you've got really long, thin ones for racing. And then you've got ones like mine that are just a bit fat and stodgy and ideal for doing kind of long distance journeys, as long as you're willing to trudge them up around locks and up hills sometimes.
So what was a day actually like for you then? How would the day start and throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, what would happen?
Well, the day would start as pleasant as anything, bird song, a little bit of the gentle drizzle to kind of pattering away on my little shelter. But once I kind of eventually stirred to the world, I'd be packing my kit down, leaving by about 7 in the morning, 7:30. I think I ended up 9 o'clock was the latest I actually left a camp, because I was just enjoying the serenity of nature that much at that point. But then pretty much got straight on the water and just got into paddling. For the distance I was doing, it's all about pace. It wasn't about try and do this stretch faster than the next stretch. It was just about just keep moving, because there's a quote that my coach mentor gave me was be fast when you can be fast, so you can be slow when you need to be slow.
Okay.
And I definitely stuck by that. So I just kept a regular pace, and then when I did get hit by wind, it meant I had time to kind of relax, and I could take my time to fight the wind, rather than rather than struggling. But yeah, the day was a good mix. So like I say, leaving about 7, just getting into the stride of things. Some of the stretches have more locks than others. 2 of the stretches were river based, so they were obviously paddling against the flow as well. So that was fun. For those of you who like having breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that didn't happen. Second breakfast didn't happen either. It was just that was not a thing. Had
a bag full of food. At the end.
Yeah.
That was what was weighing him down, because we kept taking him food and snacks, and obviously he packed some as well.
Yeah.
And every time I'm like, "Do you need me to bring you some food? Can I do this?" He'd be like, "No, I've got absolutely tons."
Yeah.
And that's nuts, because you would literally have everything with you whilst you were on that paddleboard.
Yeah.
You've still got Snickers.
Oh, look at that.
I've actually brought my buoyancy aid in with me, and I've just opened up, and yet, sure enough, I've got at least 4 cereal bars, a Snickers bar, bag of crisps somewhere floating around in there as well. So I carried like a lot of snacks and things on my person, so I could kind of just eat on the go.
Of course.
Which was, it's quite useful, obviously. But yeah, my bag had like 6 apples still in it, all bruised to high heavens.
Because we all kept bringing you top quality food like McDonald's, fish and chips, Domino's.
Domino's.
That's what you want. That's what you want when you paddleboarding.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I set out with the idea that I would come away from this fitter and healthier, and I've definitely come away the opposite direction. But
well, I was going to when you came in and I said, "Have you recovered?" I would presume when you're paddleboarding and you're using the top half of your body so much, I would have thought your top half of your body would be in bits, but you were saying it's your feet.
Oh yeah. So I mean, my upper back was a little bit sore, because within the first 2 or 3 miles of the journey, my muscle in my left shoulder decided to twinge, and that was a bit of a bugbear for the whole week. But popped a few ibuprofen and did some mobility exercises every once in a while. That probably looked funny for people watching me on the canal. Doing some cow and calf cat movements, or whatever they're called in yoga. Just trying to mobilize the shoulders, but no, my feet were the big one. I said the best way to describe it is like when you're stood on a solid surface, like your movements you're doing through your calves and your feet are ever so subtle, but imagine like standing on a bouncy castle all day long. It's like the movements that your feet and your calves are doing are infinitely more and a lot less subtle. And I was stood on the board for, I think the longest day was 16 and a half hours that I was actually stood. I had to phone you at one point. I was opposite Trafford Park, I think, wasn't it? And I'd just passed the canal side entrance for Trafford Park, which I didn't even realise that they had that. You can literally get off a canal boat and walk into the Trafford Centre. It's quite incredible. But I just sat on the bankside and we just had my feet up, because I was just like, it was absolute agony. Like it was just insane. So yeah, the feet were the big one. Like not blisters, just soreness from being stood on it for 16 hours straight with all those movements. And the calves were definitely fun walking down the stairs the following morning, especially as my daughter insisted on being carried. So that was even more fun, because they were just incredibly tight.
Yeah,
it was like, like I say, all those little minuscule movements you don't realize you're doing. Like from sort of knees upwards, I look like I'm probably really stable, really solid.
No, but I would imagine you it's almost like your feet are kind of naturally gripping on there constantly. So the tension in through your ankles and your thighs and calves and everything must be
massively so. Yeah, massively. And I suppose because the shoes I was wearing are quite tactile as well, so they're very thin soled. So it is almost like standing barefoot on the board as well. So it is there wasn't any form of cushioning in a sense, and even though the boards are inflatable, they are still pretty hard and pretty unforgiving to stand on for a long period of time. So yeah, my feet were the big one. Like I said, upper back was a bit stiff, and I've got a few friends who are going to go and do a similar challenge like this next summer. So I said, make sure you do some training for your upper back. That was the only real muscles that were a bit sore.
Absolutely.
And thankfully I've got a decade and a half of paddling experience behind me, so I've built up most of the musculature to be able to actually kind of do it. But yeah, there's some things you can just never plan for, and Storm Kathleen was one of those for a start.
Oh my goodness, of course. Yeah.
Like all the way up until I even did a joke video at one point where I was like, been planning for 6 months and here I am about to change the plans once again, like days to go. But I ended up opting for the going around clockwise, which was what I'd always originally planned for, because I know that the weather in this country is irregular, and being a ring, I was never going to get tailwinds the whole way around. Like that would be I'd be praying to the high heavens for that to happen, but no, it was never going to happen. But yeah, when people sort of told me, it was like, oh, that was Storm Kathleen, and I saw some videos of some friends there was a friend of mine up in Scotland, he sent some videos over, and quite literally all of his boat trailers had they'd broken the straps that they hold on, and these are trailers that you can drive at 70 mile per hour, and the canoes should stay on the trailers, and they were all knocked over, canoes were flying off, a motorhome had been rolled down the hill completely. So and I was there, I was paddling through this, and I was like, oh well, it just felt like a normal wind to me.
Did you fall off at any point?
No.
Oh my God! I mean, that's amazing in itself. Not once.
There was probably, I can count on one hand how many times I nearly fell in.
Wow.
More often than not, it was just things that took me by surprise. Obviously, every once in a while, I'd get the phone out to kind of check my location, or just check on social media, or check in with Anna and just sort of say, yeah, I'm here, I'm fine, I'm doing this bit, suddenly like there'd be a bit of deadfall branch or something that's just sticking out, and it would knock the board. And because I'm there looking at my phone, stood on the board, it does give you a bit of a wobble. I got caught out by a trolley at one point.
Oh my goodness!
Going along, and I just I thought I saw something in the water, and then suddenly felt the kind of the unbalancing, if you will, of the board. It got just kind of nudged to one side, and looked back, and sure enough, there behind me was a trolley wheel sticking out.
Oh wow!
That's another reason not to paddle in Manchester.
All the trolleys, all the trolleys,
lots and lots of trolleys. But the wind was a big one. Like I've got pushed off balance a few occasions when the wind hit me, because you got your normal breeze, but then when a gust hits you, it proper hits you, and it is almost like someone just kind of giving you a gentle shove. But when you're on an unstable sort of surface and someone gives you it feels a lot worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I only about 4 or 5 times where I had some near scares, and generally speaking, it was either because I wasn't paying attention, or it's something I could not see in the first place. Like I said, trolleys under the water, because it's quite. You can only see a couple of centimeters underneath the water, and if it's enough to catch the fin out that's at the back of the board, that's a definite you're going in, because that will bring you to a complete stop, and momentum just carries on the top of the board, so you go flying forwards.
Yeah.
But thankfully that didn't happen at any point. And
thank goodness for that.
Aye.
Listen, I could talk to you all day, but we are going to have to move to the news very quickly. If anybody still wants to donate or raise any money for you, can they still do that?
Yeah. I'm leaving the fundraise open until the end of the month. So it's a GoFundMe page. It's a SUP against cancer, or SUP against cancer.
And how much have you raised so far?
The last I looked, it was 2,500.
Amazing.
And
we want at least 3.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
At least.
At least.
So please,
if
Stop
we can
against cancer.
£10 for every mile I did. That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great. Absolutely. And finally, and listen, Anna, thank you so much for joining us as well. And as we said there, I know you've had some ups and downs over the past year, but it's sounding quite positive at the minute. Are you feeling good at the minute?
I feel the best I've felt in a long time, actually. The other day I said, wow, I feel well for the first time in ages. So yes, it's lovely. Thank you.
No, that is lovely to hear. And the best of luck. And yeah, I hope we see more challenges from you, mate.
Oh yeah, there's already some in the pipeline.
Oh, lovely. BBC Radio Leeds. If you've just tuned in, you missed us speaking to Jon Callow and his fiancée Anna. He has just paddleboarded over 300 kilometres over 3 canal networks to raise money for Cancer Research UK. His fiancée Anna was diagnosed with breast cancer last year, and that's why he wanted to take on the challenge. Sarah, that was amazing, weren't it?
Fantastic. Absolutely. And just a lovely couple.
Yeah, really lovely couple. And he just said as he left the studio, they didn't get a chance to tell me about the time that he woke up and he found a slug in his hair.
Oh, lovely.
Wow, lovely.